Thank you for having me, Laurent. My name is Louis. I'm 24 years old. I was born in China, but French. I spent around 10 years in China between Beijing and Tianjin. And then I lived a bit in Singapore and Thailand, and then I moved to France. So I spent some years in France, did my high school in France and my engineering studies in France. So I studied mechanical engineering and aerospace engineering. So I did the master's in aerospace in France and did a master's in Atlanta at Georgia Tech in mechanical engineering. So during this time, I worked on different projects, did different internships. So I worked as a research assistant in Canada for ionic propulsion for satellites. So that time, starting like in my studies, I was really more focused on space exploration propulsion. So I did my studies at the research at Royal Military College in Canada, where most of astronauts go there to do studies. And I worked on ionic propulsion, and then worked also as research and rescue at sea in Italy. So in the beginning, I was doing a lot of, that was like a 2-month mission where we were flying a DA-42 plane. We were flying 7 hours per day. We around saved 1,500 people during those 2 months. So that was a pretty intense time in my life, where we basically the mission was to fly, search, and rescue. We were working with Ocean Viking, so an association in the Mediterranean Sea. And what happens is there's a lot of boats that are crossing the Mediterranean Sea into Europe, and there's a lot of deaths every day. So the goal was to try to limit the deaths, and we were able, at around 4 people, so it's a pretty small plane, DA-42, we were able to save like 1,500 lives. So that was a pretty interesting mission. And then after my studies in aerospace, I decided to pivot to mechanical engineering at Georgia Tech, and I did like an internship as a mechanical engineer in Silicon Valley in California, where I worked as a mechanical engineer on energy storage systems. So my goal there was to look and design flywheels. So flywheels are, to explain kind of how it works, flywheels are basically big, massive wheels made out of steel, 2 tons, very heavy. And the goal is that you want to make the spin really fast, and so you have a mechanical energy stored. So with that, it's like energy 1/2 of I omega squared, so that's how you store the energy. And the goal with this is so it's a pretty technical way of storing energy, because you have friction with air and with movements. So the goal is to spin this at 10,000 RPM, so as fast as a F1 car motor, and this is in magnetic levitation in vacuum, so no air. And with this, you're able to save and store like energy for a pretty long time. But this type of storage energy is mainly used for during the day when you have solar panels. You store the energy at night during the duck curve. You use that energy, rotational energy, to transform it into it basically works as a battery, but without any loss, because with mechanical parts, you can use it for 30 years, and a battery is about 10 years. After like a few tens of thousands of cycles, the battery, you have to throw it away. So with that type of energy, the type of storage, you don't have that problem. At that time, I was more focused on, like, of course, aerospace. I was actually going to pursue my PhD in Georgia Tech, but I found out after working in the lab there as a research assistant, working on systems at the ASDL, Aerospace System Design Laboratory, on Martian missions, so it was really interesting. I found out that I was more into building something. I was more interested in manufacturing, and the best place to do manufacturing and build anything is in Shenzhen in China. So it was a kind of a big step between research, working with companies with NASA projects, and flipping all the way, it's coming around the world and coming over to Shenzhen. So, I mean, I arrived, it's been around almost 6 months I've been in Shenzhen. So I arrived at the beginning of the year, but last year I decided to pivot and look for opportunities in Shenzhen. So I'm a project manager at IPW Group. I work on different projects. So the company is OEM, ODM company. We have clients around Europe and around the world. So the goal is a client could come towards us with a design or even an idea, and we help them build it, find different manufacturers, suppliers, and we also have a team of engineers. So we're around electrical, mechanical, different types of engineers, and we build this with the company. And so my role here at IPW is to help these companies understand their needs, communicate this with engineers, and build a product. And so some of the different products that I'm currently working on is, for example, a countercurrent swimming system. So instead of, when you go swimming, instead of having a big pool and doing laps, you can directly buy this countercurrent swimming system, put it into a small pool, and you're able to do like different laps. You can look at this, like change the speed, and so that's one of the systems. Or even air filtration systems that I'm currently working on, which is not using filtration systems that are used today. We're using electromagnetic fields which trap particles. So this is like another frontier. It's pretty hard to build. But the goal is to help foreign companies. Most of our clients are European, some of American, so around the world. And we help these clients build their products. So I wanted to come over here and kind of experience this side of building things, looking at the problems, everyday problems, operational problems. So finding the right supplier, for example, looking at debugging PCBs, all this, and working with Chinese engineers. So that was very interesting. So we have different customers with different demands. Some startups, which are pretty small, they don't have the capability or the capacity to have so many engineers and build the entire product themselves. So they come with an idea, sometimes just a PowerPoint, sometimes even just some images, not even 3D models. And they just come and say, could you build this for us? And so we kind of look at the idea, we look into if it's possible, if we can build it, for what price, we do a quotation. And after, if it's possible, then we roll everything out and try to build it with the customer. And some companies, they come over with already existing products, a market, they're doing ARR, they're selling it a lot, but they want to reduce costs. So they come with a finished product. How can you source this part or make this part better? Or what kind of your ideas? So we can change the R&D side, or can change also the sourcing side. We have our own factory in Dongguan North. We have our own factory, so we build parts of the products in-house, but some parts obviously we have to find suppliers. Today we're around 30 people in the research and development part, and in the factory around 100. We're only two foreigners, only two foreigners, and 3 project managers in the entire company. French Tech actually first heard about it in San Francisco, and so I joined one night a French Tech event in San Francisco. It was great. I was able to meet a lot of people, so many inspiring people that want to build things. San Francisco was of course, everyone was talking about AI. So that was interesting. And after coming in Shenzhen, after a few months, I wanted to obviously meet some people, and I saw there was an event on French Tech Shenzhen, so I I saw the opportunity and came over.
Cool. Okay, thank you, Louis.
Thank you.